It's Omega level time indeed. How are you doing, Don? And 8-Bit Ray here with you. Two Star Wars fans that continue to eat good. We were dealt a smorgasbord of goodness, not only in the form of another episode of The Mandalorian, but we also had the Star Wars celebration happen, and some really cool announcements coming from there that we'll dip into a little bit here. So let's talk about the Duchess, right? The latest episode of The Mandalorian. You know, when thinking back on it real quick, of course, the thing that's got everybody a buzz is that there are three big, guest stars on this particular episode. So that's got, the normies buzzing, which I felt was amusing because on the last episode, Ray, you were saying, this isn't really for the normies. They're past the Grogu, the Baby Yoda. We're past that stage. But in this episode, they kind of threw out some more bait on the hook there for the normies, and it at least got some buzz going. And so what I'm specifically talking about is in this particular episode, there are three guest stars. Lizzo. Then we have Jack Black, and then Christopher Lloyd. Funny enough, they were all introduced in the episode around about the same time. So that's what the buzz, that was generated from this episode. I've seen a lot of people, say dumb shit about Lizzo's performance and whatnot, but I ultimately thought it was fine. I didn't take me out of the story or anything like that. Christopher Lloyd's was a very interesting character. I got a lot of Mega Man X vibes from this, actually. So what did you think there of our, like I said, the buzz generating guest stars of this episode there, Ray? What did you think of their performance or what they brought or took away?
I don't think that their performances were bad at all.
Yeah.
Jack Black was just being Jack Black. Lizzo was being Lizzo, and Christopher Lloyd was looking more and more like Uncle Fester, just a thinner version. Like he don't even need the makeup if they wanted to do a remake or something, man. He's really up there in age. But Christopher Lloyd was fine. I didn't see any problem with it. I've seen a lot of people online saying, "Oh, Mandalorian's past its peak. What is this? What is this dog shit?" And I'm just like, it wasn't bad. If anything, it was more of like it felt to me like almost like an Easter egg episode. Like that episode was for the fans. Okay, so you have the Mandalorians. The beginning and middle were for the fans. The ending was for the show. So you had the Mandalorians going out on a mission and doing a job as Mandalorians do. So there's one thing against these people that are saying that this episode was crap. And they showed a lot of this independent city that is recognized by the Republic. And then they offer pretty much recognition, like kind of like do this job for us. We'll put in a good word with the Republic and get you in when you get Mandalore back, and they're all about that. So it's still dealing with Mandalorian issues. It's just in a different setting. It's not a big battle set piece, and it's not. It progressed the story a tiny bit, but. I think what a lot of people have a problem with is that it wasn't what they wanted, right? We're one episode away. Next week is season finale. Everybody is expecting, these big battle placements and things like that. Think of the previous seasons. We got Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka, and all these big things were happening.
Yeah.
But this one doesn't feel as heavy, and that's
Definitely
fine.
Wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. This was a fun episode. I enjoyed it. I thought it was probably the most fun episode the entire season, and I think we might need that little what do they call it? The darkest before the day or however that
Oh yeah,
saying
yeah,
goes.
yeah, yeah. It's darkest before dawn. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Um.
in reverse, so it's brighter
Right.
before the
It's
darkness. So,
exactly.
so next week, you're ending on a happier note, right? And
Well, for sure.
yeah,
There's not a whole lot that went on here, but there was definitely some a happy part, I guess, or we could kind of see how this is going to progress. So, anyway, I screwed up the name of the episode. By the way, it's Guns for Hire. Chapter 22, Guns for Hire,
I was
is the
gonna
name
say
of this episode.
that's a way better episode
Yeah,
title than
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I was thinking of Lizzo. She plays the Duchess.
I don't
Um,
even look at episode names to be honest with you.
yeah,
I go episode season 3, episode 6 or 7 or whatever it is, and hit play. I don't really look at
right.
the titles
Yeah,
unless
for
I'm
the
on
most part.
IMDb.
Right, right, exactly. That's what I'm looking at here. Um, so you know, yeah, a lot. Not a lot happened in this episode, but a couple. I don't know. I thought it was really smart. A lot of it because we learned a lot about this planet that they're on, which was a former imperial planet. It- like the whole planet is on this, on this
Uh,
program.
yeah, I don't think that the planet itself was imperial. I think that when Jack Black married the Duchess or the royal magistrate or
Yeah,
whatever she is, then he was incorporating imperial things from that program that they mentioned in previous episodes. So it's all tying in. There's it's not like this was just a weird one-off episode. It did tie into previous episodes.
yeah.
And
For sure. In the biggest way is so at some point. All right. Well, let me set it up a little bit more. I'm sure anyone that's watching this has already seen it or whatever. But basically, the gist is they are going to this planet. And I'm looking for the name. It's something 15, something like that. It's got a real
yeah,
like standard system name to it. But Jack Black plays Bombardier was his name. Yeah, Captain Bombardier. So Bo-Katan, Din Djarin, they go to this planet because that's where the Mandalorian fleet is. The Mandalorian fleet that Bo-Katan used to command. And she doesn't really quite know what she's going to do when she gets there, what she's going to say. She's just going to go. Her and Dan are just going to approach them. Well, they go to this planet and they're on their way. They're going to land like on the outskirts of where the Mandalorians are, but as they head there, their ship gets taken over by whatever, the system that this particular planet has in place, takes over their ship, brings them to a docking bay where they're basically led to and made to go talk to the Duchess and Captain Bombardier, who again is Lizzo, the Duchess, Captain Bombardier, Jack Black. They're rulers of this planet. Now, the Duchess is actually part of a royal family, but also happens to be an elected ruler. This planet is democratic. It's not part of the Republic. But again, it just happens to be coincidence that the person that is elected to be the ruler also happens to be a member of the royal family. And now,
it's
of course,
England. It's England. Call it
exactly
what it is.
right,
We have a royal family, but we have elected officials. It's
right.
England.
Um, and apparently this Captain Bombardier, who was an ex-imperial, he's turned good now. He's all lovey-dovey with Lizzo. You see that when the Mandalorians enter this party that they're at, all these different races, that we have in there. We see one of the frog ladies and Quarrens and Ithorians, all sorts of fucking creatures. Hell, they're even drinking some shit from the ceiling where like this giant monsters like floating in this liquid that they're all drinking. Just weird shit.
Yeah.
Um, so it turns out that they have employed the Mandalorians to protect their planet because since they're kind of ex-imperial, they cannot have any army. And this is kind of some we're getting really some commentary from Star Wars here because this particular planet spends no money on the military other than to pay for the Mandalorians to protect them. And so because of that, they invest all of their money into the people, the arts and hobbies and things like that. Nobody has to
Yep.
work. But as it turns out, this society is completely dependent upon droids. Hence our problem, because it turns out that the Duchess and Captain Bombardier, they want to employ Bo-Katan and Din Djarin because they're having these droids basically go Maverick. And that's why I think this is kind of Mega Man X vibe here, because
A little bit, yeah.
these droids are going Maverick, and they need Din Djarin and Bo-Katan to figure it out. I guess they can't ask the other Mandalorians because they're enough to constitute an army, which by law are not allowed in the city limits.
Yeah.
However, we just so happen to have 2 Mandalorians. That's not an army. No one else can have weapons. But I thought this was really cool. Like, Din and Bo are like, "Well, you let us come in here with weapons?" And yeah, Captain Bombadil's like, "Well, yes, you're Mandalorians. Your weapons are intrinsic to your culture." So like they were, it's kind of like that freedom of religion thing. It's like, oh well, no, we can't have weapons, but you guys are all about weapons, and we're not going to step on your rights. So okay, there we go. They say, once you do that, we'll lead you to the other Mandalorians, and you can do what you do. As well as we will officially recognize Mandalore as a planet, and you are, of course, because he called Bo-Katan, this Captain Bombardier guy, Jack Black, he called her Your Grace, Princess. Mm-hmm. So he's like fully recognizing her sovereignty over Mandalore.
Yeah.
So I was surprised. It was really cool. Thought it was really smart. So nonetheless, they send him off to go talk to this Commissioner Hellgate, who Christopher Lloyd is playing. He's the controller of all the droids and whatnot. And this is where we learn that their society is so dependent on these droids, because they're like, well, just shut that shit down. And he's like, no, they've already democratically decided, yeah, these droids are going haywire, but no, it's not worth, inconveniencing the population to shut them down.
Yeah.
So, okay, he says, go talk to the Urgots, and they'll tell you where these are. And so this calls back to you saying, earlier episodes of The Mandalorian affected this episode, because indeed Bo-Katan and Din Djarin, they go to talk to these Urgots. Bo-Katan's not making any headway here, but because Din Djarin spent all that time with Quill, an Urgnot, he knows how to talk to him. And he's able to get the information as far as, where these droids could possibly be located. I thought all that was really cool. I mean, yeah, did anything major happen? No. But do we get to see, like, past experiences of Din Djarin help him?
Right. Like his entire journey matters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just a one-off that he spent time with them.
Yeah.
It all ties around. And that's one of the things about the show that I really like, is that everything matters.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's a write-off. Everything means everything. So you really got to pay attention to the little details, and that's why I say this is why the show is starting to lose the normies a little bit, because we're the only ones left paying attention, because the smoke show of Grogu and his cuteness has now worn off.
Right. Well, I think this brought the normies back in a little bit more, because
I don't think so.
Well, at least in my experience, because it's the previous episode before this, my wife was like open, like, oh, that was boring. This one, she was a little bit more engaged. So
I thought it was a very colorful episode. You think of all the planets that Mando goes to, they're usually like wastelands, desolate places, the outer rim type planets. This one was very vibrant, full of life.
Yeah.
And, there's bars all down the strip, and it's just really bright neon lights everywhere. You got techno music playing. Like, it's a very lively place,
Yeah, no, it most certainly is. Lizzo's character, the Duchess, has this big, like, holographic plume thing, cape behind her, very, like you said, colorful, bright.
Very, very flamboyant, yeah.
Yeah, very flamboyant. That's what I was searching for.
But that's kind of how all the royals were.
Right.
Up where Jack Black and all, where they were all wearing extravagant things.
Yeah, the whole court. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, Bo-Katan, Din Djarin, they're investigating. They find these droids that are doing some work. and then he's starting to push him, and the battle droid that's kind of overseeing everything, is telling, "Die, don't do that." He's like, "Oh, why? It's safe, isn't it?" And nonetheless, just by kicking some droids around, he eventually pisses one off, and it starts to attack him. So they track it down, and boy, do those B-1 droids run way faster in this
Oh yeah,
episode.
yeah. When you watch the prequels, man, all they do is just stand there with their arms out with their
Yeah, yeah,
blasters and walk in a single file line. This one is like iRobot type fucking
exactly,
maneuverability, man. Crazy. Yeah.
exactly. Um, Long story short, again, more of the Mega Man vibes here is they find out, and this was a little bit contrived for me because I don't see why a droid would have this type of evidence, but they shake down this droid and they find, oh, this bar where all these droids go, like he had some sort of data on him that points to this droid bar. I it's a small minor detail. I don't see that going down like that. It's a
I
droid.
don't know, Don. I don't know, Don. I think that's actually because if you listen to what he says to Dinjarin, he says that someone came in here saying that humans are going to replace us. So they might have
Yeah,
gotten desperate and started their own investigation. Because they don't want to get
maybe.
replaced.
Yeah.
So they gathered up a little bit of info themselves. Self-preservation.
Yeah, and that is what causes them to ultimately cooperate with Bo-Katan and Din Djarin when they follow this lead. They go to this droid bar, and the droids are, like you said, they don't want to be replaced, and they feel that if this madness, these droids keep turning, that they're eventually going to get replaced because they're all recommissioned Imperial droids. You
Yeah.
know, there was a big program. That's how Jack Black's character kept saying it. I oversaw the program. The program. Um, and so they're they're just worried that that's going to seem like it's undone and they'll get replaced. So they'd explain to Din and Bo-Katan that, like, yeah, there's only one drink here. It's this lubricating protectant with these particles that help you feel restorative. And long story short, they're able to find out that all the droids that went wacky, they drank from this specific batch. And so they find this batch, they analyze it, and they find out that it originated from the Techno Union,
Yeah.
way back in the Clone Wars and stuff, and that it was Commissioner Hellgate that basically commissioned it, which was illegal for him to do so.
Yeah, he put nanobots in their batch and
Yeah.
he was controlling them. Yeah. So I mean,
So,
I thought that was a pretty cool aspect,
yeah,
droids hacking droids essentially, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So I mean, he gets confronted by Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, and that's where he reveals. He was about this big red buttons on his desk. I mean, it's like the first thing you see when the character even comes into frame. But, um, he's basically threatening, okay, you're not going to take me in. I'm going to press this button, if you come any farther, whatever, and it's going to make all the droids kill everybody. Then he starts kind of monologuing. He gets caught monologuing because he's particularly upset that Count Dooku. He's a big Count Dooku guy. Oh, he was a
Yeah.
visionary. He was taken down in
Yeah.
his prime, and it's like he almost said Anakin. He's almost like by that Jedi, whatever. And then Bo-Katan like stuns him, and then they take him and they present him to Jack Black and the Duchess, and he gets exiled.
To a
You know,
moon.
yeah, to one of the moons there until they decide to forgive him. Yada yada yada.
Kind of hard to earn forgiveness when you're on a moon that's not even on the planet.
Yeah, yeah, kind of out of sight, out of mind. And that's the last we see of our guest stars. So no more Jack Black, no more Lizzo, sorry, no more Christopher Lloyd. Again, like you said, I think the appearances were fine. I mean, it's not like Lizzo was twerking, right? We didn't get no Lizzo
Yeah.
twerk.
No.
You know, Grogu could even maybe use the Force to twerk her
But then
butt.
you
We
you
didn't see
also
that.
you also have to remember is that these people that guest starred on this show were big Star Wars fans. Jack
Oh,
Black
yep,
especially. He's got a song called Death Star. We're gonna
Yeah.
build the Death Star. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, and
Lizzo,
Lizzo,
Liz,
yep.
yeah, Lizzo as a child, she has pictures of her as a little kid in her Star Wars shirts, and
Mhm.
being a super geek and things like that.
Yep.
And Christopher Lloyd has praised Star Wars in interviews in the past, so they're all fans of Star Wars.
Mhm.
So I don't really see the problem that everyone else is seeing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with me, but to call this the peak of Mandalorian, like this is the downfall, like come on, really?
Yeah. No, it's
I,
going to
I I don't
get
see it.
we're going to see even cooler shit, and I'll talk about that later, a little bit later when we talk about the Star Wars celebration. But yeah, that and the other problem I'm in, and this has been a trend with these episodes, is again people being upset that Din Djarin is taking the back seat here in the Mandalorian show. But the Mandalorian, it doesn't have to mean Din Djarin. Like there's lots of
Exactly.
Mandalorian. We're kind of actually we're exploring what does it even mean to be a Mandalorian. You got the Children of the Watch. You got the Night Owls, and we've talked about Death Watch and Darth Maul's Dark Watch. Like what does it mean to be a Mandalorian? And I definitely think that's a journey that we're taking here.
Yeah, Don, this story cannot progress if Din Djarin is the star up front and center.
Yeah.
Not everything in this universe can happen to just one person. If you want the story to continue on and for it to evolve, you're gonna need to bring in more people, more characters,
Mm-hmm.
more
Yep.
Mandalorians. You're gonna have to bring in, separatists, and you're
Yep.
really gonna have to throw in a little spice into the special sauce if you want it to keep it to be special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And I like the way that the story's going. I mean, particularly at the end of this episode, they've earned the right to basically go approach the other Mandalorians that this planet has hired for security. And, they just kind of walk up to them, and basically Bo Katan challenges the leader.
Yeah,
Um,
as you do in Mandalore.
as you do. And they had a fight, and she beat him.
Yeah.
What's really, though, important is remember, you know, Ray, you and I have been like, where's the Darksaber? Where the hell's the Darksaber? Well,
Mhm.
apparently I didn't catch this, but during the recap, they showed Din Djarin pick it up and put it in his thing. So Din Djarin's had the Darksaber.
Wow.
He has the
Well,
Darksaber.
well, damn.
Yeah. No, the
Are you
first
sure that
time I
are you
saw it was the
are
recap.
I was gonna say, are you sure they didn't just sprinkle that in there? Just
They
like,
may have.
oh shit, we forgot.
Yeah, no, I mean, they may have. But
I
what,
mean, I know for a fact that you and me watch these things very closely, and
yeah.
as we have to talk about this weekly, we have to find these little intricate details to talk about.
Yeah.
I think we would have mentioned Din Djarin, two of us, Din Djarin picking up the fucking Darksaber.
Yeah.
They sprinkled that in there. I'm telling you, that did not happen.
Okay, well, I thought maybe I missed it, but you know what? You're kind of confirming what I thought too. Is they must have just added that in because I did not see that, and I watched these things multiple times.
Yeah.
So,
And
so even
that's why we watch the recaps, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure, because they will slide shit in there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, she wins. She wins back her fleet. She wins back the Mandalorians, but the dude that she beat, and I can't remember his name. I'll find it here real quick. But he's kind of got a little problem because he knows that Din Djarin, because we didn't know, but he did. He knows that Din Djarin has the Darksaber, and he's got this problem because he's like, he has no drop of Mandalorian blood whatsoever. Axe Woves is his name.
Hmm.
He's got the Darksaber, and you don't, and And she's like, first of all, he's fucking Mandalorian, so drop that shit right now, pal.
Yeah. I mean, look at it like in the real world, not in the Star Wars universe. Like
Yeah.
if somebody wanted to convert to Judaism, yeah, you don't have Jewish blood in you, but you still practice the religion. Therefore,
Yeah.
you are Judas or Jewish.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It
Yep.
doesn't matter. Blood affects nothing. I'm 1% black.
There you go.
There you go.
So unless he's a racist, which he may be. He may be. But no, really cool here is, he's bitching about the fact that Bo-Katan doesn't have the Darksaber. Well, Din Djarin lawyers his way into basically giving it to her. What I mean is, he's like, she does have the Darksaber. I'm giving it to her right now. And she's like, no, that can't happen. I've got to win it. And he explains to the group, he's like, listen, there was an enemy. That enemy captured me. Basically, that's a defeat. I took an L there. Bo-Katan beat that enemy and has its saber. So if she beat the guy that beat me, isn't the saber hers? And they're like, yeah.
But it also makes sense, though, Don, because of the way that she wielded the Darksaber after Din Djarin got taken down. Technically, she did the enemy that beat him.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, it is hers.
Yeah. And we've talked about it before. She wields it because he uses it in this episode.
Yeah, and it's still heavy. It's still heavy. He has to really come down with it with his shoulders, man. But her, she's whipping it around and whoom, like a freaking Jedi out of the prequel trilogy, man. Yeah. She's going nuts.
Yeah, exactly. Like, to him, it's like Cloud's Buster Sword wielding it. But yeah, like you said, to her, it's just like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So there you go. Bo-Katan's got her fleet back, got her crew back. She got the Darksaber back. And there we are. So, yeah, another great episode. As far as, again, the bitch point for everybody here is Lizzo, not so much Jack Black, but like...
They did the same thing when Megan Thee Stallion was on She-Hulk, and they always have something to bitch about when there's a guest star. Because it's somebody that you don't like. Like, okay, if Kanye West shows up next week, I'm sure that the internet will love it.
Yeah, no, they'll melt.
Exactly. But if it's somebody you like, you don't mind it. Oh, shit. Nobody's talking about Christopher Lloyd in this episode. All they're talking about is how, dumb Lizzo and Jack Black are in this episode and how stupid they look and how they don't fit into this universe.
Yeah.
It's just some fucking gatekeeping trolls that, want to keep the Star Wars blood pure. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's keep the Star Wars blue bloods. That's what I say.
Yeah.
No outside breeding. But yeah, it's not like it was a bad appearance. Like I can definitely, actually, I can think of a worse appearance by like a music celebrity, Game of Thrones. Because like Lizzo didn't even like sing or dance in this one. She just played the part and she played it just fine.
And but I think that those two personalities, Don, I think really they fit that world that they were
Sure,
on.
Yeah. I mean, they were talking about almost a perfect world, other than, okay, they're dependent on droids, but unless they've got some fucker trying to sabotage the whole thing, it's all going great. They're employing Mandalorians, it looked like a pretty good setup to me. But yeah, I thought back to, like, Ed Sheeran's appearance on Game of Thrones. Like, that was totally fucking stupid because they had him, like, sing, and it's like, like, this is... like
cringy.
That's a cringy, that's a bad... This wasn't it. So, yeah, you shouldn't use that as a reason to not enjoy it, because it's good. It's good stuff.
I didn't see any problem with it whatsoever.
Yep.
I don't know. I thought that they did the best they could with the roles they were given. And they were giving a pretty outlandish role with very large personalities, flamboyant, pompous, I think would be a better word for it. I think they did it just fine. Lizzo was not being Lizzo, which is fine. Jack Black was, well, he's a little kooky, but he wasn't Jack Black. He wasn't... You know what I mean?
Right.
He wasn't all over the place Jack Black. He just played a very, personality-heavy person, and I thought he did just fine.
Yep. Me too. So I can't wait for the next episode. It's going to be good shit for sure.
I hope it's longer. This episode was 45 minutes.
Yeah, this was one of the longer ones,
but it flew by. It didn't
did.
feel like 45 minutes. It felt like a half hour. And like when it was over, I'm like, oh, that's it. And then it's like, 45 minutes. I'm like, well, damn. It's
Yeah.
better than it being 45 minutes and it felt like an hour and a half because, I've sat through movies where I'm like, God, is this over? And you press the play button or the pause button, and it's like 50 minutes have passed, and you're just like, oh,
You know what?
God.
You know what's funny? You know what that reminds me of, Ray? And you're going to love this because I love this
What's up?
show. I love this show, and you don't. But I will say, I think it was like the second episode of The Ring of Power.
Yeah.
Because I will admit, the first couple episodes of that show dragged
It
pretty
took,
bad.
yeah, it took a
Um,
while to get going. When you're
so
introducing 12 different storylines,
yeah.
Don, it's a lot.
So I do remember like thinking that watching that episode, like let me see, holy shit, I got that much time left. Oh, okay. But again, it did get better for me at that point, but I was still on the fence after those first two. But it does get better, and I do love that show. But I don't know, that did just remind me, if I'm to be truthful, of like the second episode of Ring of Power, when I was like, oh my god, this is way longer than I'd like it to be right now. All right, well, we're always going to celebrate Star Wars here on the Mega Level Nerds, but there is an actual official Star Wars celebration that goes on every year. Couple real big notable things that I don't, well, some of it I expected, but not all of it I did. Um, let's talk about the first. So the Ahsoka trailer. I know you said you didn't see it, and to be honest with you, I mean I saw it, but there's really only one thing important about it, and that's the fact that we got to saw the rest of the Star Wars Rebel crew in live action in this trailer. We saw Chopper, we saw Sabine Wren. She didn't even have her Mandalorian shit on, but it was her. We saw Hera. We even saw Ezra Bridger on a hollow piece. We already saw Zeb in the Mandalorian. So that's other than there was one other crew member that is dead, and that's Ezra Bridger's Jedi mentor. But we also saw the back of Grand Admiral Thrawn's head. So Ahsoka, the Ahsoka show, is gonna be all about that.
At
Uh,
least we hope.
well,
At least we hope.
at least we
But
hope,
but
but it
sure,
definitely
but
looks
but
that
you're
way.
not gonna bring in a big villain like Thrawn, a successful villain, I might add. I think the Thrawn trilogy is the highest selling Star Wars books
And listen,
ever ever.
I know you said you didn't see it, so let me. Ahsoka says in this trailer that Grand Admiral Thrawn is the, and I quote, heir to the Empire. I was like, yes,
Yeah, Shadows of the Empire.
yes. So Legends canon lives on, heir to the Empire. That was the title of the first book after the
Yep.
Last Jedi. So yeah, we're getting that, and I'm super fucking excited. I mean, I like Ahsoka in general, but I just love the fact that obviously we're getting a modified, um, you know, Grand Admiral Thrawn trilogy here. Well, I guess it's not a trilogy because Ahsoka wasn't in the original canon, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, we are getting an adaptation of that cool heir to the Empire, Grand Admiral Thrawn shit, and that is
Yeah.
awesome. And we'll be
I, I,
getting
re-
that
I,
this
re-
year.
I really hope that they would incorporate some kind of like Shadow of the Empire mythology inside of it too with the Thrawn. That'd be pretty cool.
I don't know if they're going to do it with Thrawn, but that kind of leads me into the next big announcements. So there's going to be 3 Star Wars films coming out. What's notable is we're not talking about a new trilogy. We are talking about 3 separate movies. All of these movies are in different eras of Star Wars. We're going to get James Mangold, and of course he directed Logan and the upcoming Indiana Jones, which got a trailer on the celebration. Um, but he's gonna create a film that will go back to the dawn of the Jedi. So this is thousands of years. They're saying this is going to be like a biblical movie of the Jedi. We'll
Uh,
see.
I don't know. I'm kind of just picking up like Prometheus vibes here. like going
Yeah, a
all the
little
way
bit.
back to the origin. I don't know, man.
Maybe they'll talk about midichlorians.
Oh Jesus, no.
But yeah, of these three films, that would probably be ranked lowest on my interest list. Dave Filoni,
Yeah.
currently the headmaster in charge of everything, he's going to do a film that is going to focus on the New Republic, which is basically what we're kind of seeing the beginnings of now in The Mandalorian. Um, so this is the film that I think is going to progress the Mandalorian story a little more, but be in the backdrop of this New Republic. So,
Not just
um,
the Mandalorian, but all the shows that are based in this time period right
mm-hmm,
now. You're
yeah,
gonna have Ahsoka in this time period. You're gonna have
mm-hmm,
Book of Boba Fett. You're gonna have
yep.
Mandalorian. And I think is Bad Batch happening in this time frame too?
No, Bad Batch happens right after Fall of the Jedi.
Okay.
Okay, so right after Episode 3,
Okay.
like after Episode 3, not quite at Rebels territory yet. So, they showed all the different eras, and I know people are complaining online because the prequel era is known as the Fall of the Jedi, and people are like, oh, that's so disrespectful. But it's like that's literally what the fuck happened. Like they were
Yeah,
literally
over
tricked.
over 3 movies. Yeah, that was the whole point. You knew the end game from episode 1. You knew
Right.
the destination, but you just had to enjoy the journey.
So, yeah, people are ultra sensitive for no reason. Um, but then, so this is another very interesting one. So the third director here is going to be someone I'm not familiar with, unfortunately. Charmine Obaid Chinroy or Chinoy.
Can't say I've
What?
ever heard the name.
Yeah. Um,
Can you tell me what she's done?
I'm looking here and I'm just not seeing anything that they're listing. I'm sure she's done stuff, and I'm sure it's my unfamiliarity with this.
She's got to be tight with Kathleen Kennedy, which means that she
Well,
has
sure.
links to Lucasfilm or something of that sort, that she's worked with them before. Because Kathleen Kennedy pretty much made the announcement for that one.
Yeah.
So
Let's see here. I'm not. Oh, okay. Yeah, she's okay. Terror's Children, Reinventing the Taliban. Okay, she's doing some documentaries. Women of the Holy Kingdom.
eh.
I'm not seeing anything of. Yes, it's just a lot of
Okay,
documentaries.
so then a relatively unknown.
Relatively unknown, and she is going to be doing a film that will star Daisy Ridley as Rey. So we're getting Rey Skywalker. And yeah, she's going to be in a film that focuses on Rey Skywalker starting the
Don't
new
you
Jedi
dare
Order.
call her Skywalker.
That's what
That
she
is
said in The Rise of Skywalker.
okay. I'm gonna let it go because I literally went on a tangent about how blood doesn't mean anything, and you can be whatever you want. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to swallow that pill. I opened my mouth and
yeah.
stupid words came out. But she's a Skywalker, sure.
So yeah, interesting. I thought it was very interesting that because when I heard, when I was first reading about, what was being announced, and I saw 3 movies coming out, like, oh, okay, what's this going to be about? But it's not going to be a new trilogy, which is no longer the norm since Rogue One and Solo and all that stuff now. So it's not a complete and utter surprise. But so yeah, we'll get Dave Filoni doing the New Republic stuff, basically probably just more of the Filoni verse there. Then we'll have the one that we just discussed, which is going to be Rey starting the new Jedi Order, and then yeah, going back to the origins of the Jedi.
I am least interested in the Rey story. Sorry, she was the absolute worst part of the newer trilogy. I just couldn't. I just couldn't take Rey being the Superman version of the Jedi. Even with the
Mm,
Palpatine blood, I just couldn't take it seriously. Like
yeah,
her story just felt like a weird tie-in. A bunch of throwaway backstory lines and backtracking, and It was just a mess. The trilogy was a complete shit show. And they're gonna give her another movie because I mean, look, she's not acting right now, right? She took her Star Wars checks and she
Yeah,
went home. You know, she
yeah.
has not really acted in anything, and she popped up somewhere. I saw it on TikTok, some interview, and she's like, "Well, I'm not currently acting. I'm, open to play Ray again." And then 2 days later, she's announced in this movie.
Yeah,
So
here we are.
it is what it is, dude. There are Ray fans out there. I'm not one of them. Um, I mean, Star Wars gonna Star Wars, man. What do you want, man? We gotta tap every demographic out there, and we need more female Star Wars fans out there. So if they think that little girls want to grow up to be Rey Skywalker, then fine. As long as it keeps meaning that we get like it keeps the funding going, it's the oil for the machine that we get
Yeah,
more things like Mandalorian and things like that. Hell, you could make a trilogy out of it. I don't care as long as the money comes in and keeps funding all these other things that I love. Go for it. Don't
right
mean
on.
I'm gonna buy your Blu-ray.
Right. Well, I think it will be a good opportunity to maybe win people like you over on the Ray character. I mean, I wasn't a Ray mega fan. I don't mind the character. I guess maybe I don't mind Mary Sue's as much. But it would be nice to maybe see how the Finn character develops. I did think he was done kind of wrong. I mean, when you watch The Force Awakens, it's like, oh shit, he's going to be a Jedi. And
Yeah,
then it just kind of gets dropped.
they
Uh,
changed their mind. Uh,
yeah.
uh, what's his face? I can't remember the director. Shit, Knives Out guy. Can't think of
Ryan
it.
Johnson.
Ryan Johnson. Yeah, I don't know why I can't remember that name. Uh, he kind of backtracked on a lot of J.J. Abrams' ideas and
Yeah.
plans and said, I'm going to do my own thing. And Kathleen Kennedy approved it and said, go for it, buddy. Make your own Star Wars film. Well, that was a big mistake. And then you spent the entire Rise of Skywalker trying to connect
Walk it back.
dots.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just trying to connect dots, and it just doesn't work. You know,
Yeah, I mean, I like the sequel trilogy. I do. I even like The Last Jedi. I like the Rise of Skywalker. I really do like that trilogy. I think it gets kind of beat up way more than it deserves. But with that said, the fact that the story really is not entirely cohesive is something that hurts it for me because yeah, like it was it was to the point, and this is kind of a memed thing at this point, but like in The Rise of Skywalker, yeah, you had posts saying somehow Palpatine returned. Like that's a fucking explanation in the movie on how
yeah, the
fucking
first thing
major
that you
villain.
see, the first thing you see in Rise of Skywalker is Palpatine returns in
Yeah,
all caps with exclamation points.
right. It's like
What?
yeah. No, that's a shoehorn if you ever seen it. Again, I like the movie, but and I even like the Last Jedi. I just wish Kathleen had uh, made sure that it would at least be coherent, and it
What they
was
did,
not
what they did
entirely.
with what they did with Kylo in Force Awakens, they made him like a really powerful guy. Remember, he stopped a laser blast
Yep,
like
midair.
just
Yep,
midair. You never saw a Jedi do that
no.
until him. They made him all powerful, and then as soon as Rey started developing her powers, he kind of got downgraded. You know, I didn't like that whatsoever. And then just building up Rey, and then their fighting is all. I'm sorry, but the lightsaber duels were awful. I would rather watch Darth Vader and Obi-Wan from A New Hope go at it
Yeah,
than watch Kylo and Rey duel with lightsabers. I'm sorry, it's just I'm not one of them people that want the prequel trilogy, behind the back, wom 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 wom,
all the
Dar-
flips.
yeah, all the flips and Darth Maul shit that was going on, and I'm not that guy. I like a good fight. Don't get me wrong, but I thought that the duel in Empire Strikes Back was better than Return of the Jedi. I thought that was the best duel in the entire series. To be honest with you, was in
Yeah,
Empire. But this was just sloppy, like lazy, And I don't even
yeah,
want to hear that bullshit that they're untrained. Kylo was fucking trained,
yeah,
and Ray, well, she was a little less untrained, but then she's training with Leia in Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
So she had to have learned a thing or two.
Yeah.
But the end fight is still sloppy. And I don't understand it. It's just so incoherent. And this isn't the shit all over the newer trilogy. You know, I appreciate it for what it is. Okay. Disney bought Star Wars for billions of dollars. They had to make that money back.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter what the trilogy was about or what the story, where the story was going. You didn't want Lucas involved, you know, to kind of guide that ship. Instead, you get J.J. Abrams, who had had success on Star Trek and that universe, and you know a couple other things he's done, and it worked. You know, if J.J. I think would have stayed on board the entire time, I don't think that we
Yeah.
would be having these rants right now about the prequel trilogy. If he could have stuck to his original vision. But instead, you know, he goes off, he does Force Awakens, and then Ryan Johnson takes over, and then they have someone scheduled for Rise of Skywalker. It was going to be 3 separate directors.
Mm-hmm.
But then they canceled that shit after the backlash and had JJ come back.
Yep.
So JJ is put in a very tight spot to where he has to make this shit make sense. But I think if he would have been the captain the entire time, I think it would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah, he definitely could have laid more groundwork for Palpatine's return in, you know, The Last Jedi. That way, you know, like you said, we're not sitting down, sitting down with our popcorn in the movie theater and boom, Palpatine returns. And somehow Palpatine returns. Like, I get it, it's a cloning thing, which does actually follow the, you know, original Legends,
Yeah.
you know, that does happen, but you know, we know why and how that happens.
Well,
we don't know
they
why or how
also
that happens in these movies.
they also planted those seeds in Revenge of the Sith when he was talking about Darth Plagueis, and he has that story that he's telling Anakin
Right.
about how you can live forever. Transporting your soul or your essence into another body is kind of what he learned from him. He didn't say it directly,
Right.
but they planted seeds, and I guess they pulled things from all the other trilogies and had to make a fucking smorgasbord or a mixed batch of whatever and push it out there because we have to finish this trilogy. Because if we don't, people are going to lose interest. People lose interest in Star Wars. We lose money. Guess what, boys and girls? We got Galaxy's Edge coming out, and that's going to be a big money revenue. Okay?
Yeah.
It's all money, but I mean, it was fine. I can rewatch the trilogy and be like, it was okay. It was okay.
Yeah, same here. Same here. You know, I enjoyed it, but again, lack of cohesiveness does hurt it. Like I said, I mean, obviously we just talked a whole lot about the the Rey
All because,
movie.
yeah, Ray Skywalker always gets me fired up. The ending of that movie, Don, I swear to God. I'm Ray Skywalker. And I'm just like, what?
That was,
We're done here.
Yeah, that was a little
cheesy.
Cheesy. Provolone.
I like the ending of that though. She's living on Tatooine, rebuilding the farm. You know, she did her job. The Jedi don't need to come back. Nothing but bad things happen when the Jedi come back or rise to power. Okay, they always rise to a certain point and then they fall twice as hard, twice as far. Let it die, Rey.
I don't know. Going back to the Ahsoka trailer, you're talking about Jedi. You know, I know you didn't see it, but they actually showed 2 dark Jedi in that trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, their lightsabers are almost orange. One old guy, his name was like Bayan or something like that. I think he's like their replacement for that dude that was on the cover of Heir to the Empire, that one Jedi that went crazy. But there's also such thing called the Imperial Knights, which, again, in Legends canon, the Imperial Remnant, they end up developing kind of their own, like, lightsaber force-wielding order, and it's like the Imperial Knights, and they all use, like, white and gray lightsabers, and they wear these Corrodus gauntlets that they're specifically trained with. So, like, if they're fighting somebody that's using a lightsaber, like if a lightsaber hits Corrodus weave, it'll disengage for a little while. I'd like to see some more shit like that, to be completely honest with you. But, you know, yeah, the Jedi aren't going to die. Rey's bringing them back. Which kind of goes a little bit in lockstep, because, like, at the end of, the Rise of Skywalker or whatever, you see that little kid, he's got, like, the broom, and he force moves objected over to him. Or was that the end of...
Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, it was Last Jedi.
Yeah, Last Jedi.
It's the kid on the gambling planet.
There you go. Exactly. That's what it was. So, they're coming. But I want to see more. I want to see, those Dark Jedi, maybe some Imperial Knights. In the Ahsoka trailer, called her a Jedi. She's not a Jedi, but nonetheless.
Well, neither is Rey, technically. She's just the last one.
And she has those books.
She was not even fully trained. She's not a Jedi Master. Okay? She's not. So how is she going to train a whole new brigade of Jedis?
Because she has those books.
Oh, kiss my ass with the books.
The books that Yoda tried
to I could read a manual on how to do Taekwondo. Don't mean I can fucking do it, okay?
Fair enough. I guess we'll see how they pull that one off, because she's going to start a whole new Jedi Order.
Well, hopefully it spawns some interesting Jedi.
Yeah, it should. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Ooh, maybe Samuel L. Jackson needs a check. And he's still alive. And he comes back and trains Rey fully. There you go. I'll take that.
Okay. Comes back. He's got a robot.
One eye. And yeah. Half robotic. Yeah, I'll take it. Why not? Darth Maul came back as a fucking spider.
That would be fucking cool, though. If he... Oh, that might get you to hate her even more. What if he taught Rey Shatterpoint? And for those of you not familiar with what Shatterpoint is that is Mace Windu's ability to use the Force to basically see the weakness in anything, even an argument. Really cool ability. Hence why he was very skeptical of Anakin and the Emperor. But anyway, but yeah, he could make her even more powerful. He could give her the Shatterpoint ability, and then she'll fucking kill everybody that she wants.
Super Rey does not need a new power, okay? She can already heal, force heal.
That is rare as fuck.
The die casting or whatever they called it.
Oh, the die out of the Force, yeah.
Like, come on.
She transported that lightsaber. She teleported that lightsaber to Ben Solo
behind his back, and
oh my god, Knights of Ren.
It's like when you first read Superman in his first appearance. He never flew. He leaped over tall buildings, and he was just really fast and really strong. And then over the last almost 100 years, they have just given him so much different powers. That's why I call her Super Rey. She's gonna get a new power. Yep. Superman needs a new power every 5 years, damn it. I guess Rey does too.
Yeah, man. She's gonna learn Shatterpoint, and then watch. She'll find a holocron, so Bastila Lashan can teach her battle meditation, all sorts of shit. Super Rey. All right. Well, hey, we'll see. I'm personally, I do want to see that. I am interested in Rey starting new Jedi Order. I'm only slightly interested in the whole origins of the Jedi biblical story. But I think Filoni's shit's going to be cool. The New Republic stuff's going to be cool. So that I'm looking forward the most out of everything that was announced at Star Wars.
I just have so many questions about this biblical Star Wars thing. Like, so what are we expecting here? Like, we're going to have untrained Jedis that don't understand their powers. They just have these powers, and then you're gonna have a Sith Lord, because you can't have one without the other, yin and yang.
Well, you see, right. Well, no, they'll learn the Force, right? Someone will move an object or some shit like that, but then one of them will do something out of anger, and that'll amplify his power with the Force, and
Something. I
yeah.
don't know.
Actually,
I don't know.
the more you talk about it, the more interested I'm getting. Actually,
I should be a idea man or a writer
hire
for this
Ray.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it. All right. Well, that's all I got on my mind, Ray. So I think we'll end her here. So before we go, sir, of course, you're host of the Overlooked Hotel. You can find archives of your Gorilla Brain podcast. You're also a fellow contributor on Superhero Speak.
Constantly.
So make sure you're visiting Ray on his Twitter there and his
Yep.
TikTok and your Twitch. You're
At,
about to Twitch. You got
yeah.
Twitch tonight?
Yeah. Yeah. Resident Evil 4. They released the Mercenaries DLC this morning.
Mm.
So I'm gonna be having a little fun with that, running around shooting hundreds of people. No story, just straight gunplay.
All right.
I'll do that for a little while tonight because I didn't get to this morning, so it'd be fun.
Good shit. All right. Well, of course, you can tweet at the show on Twitter at Omega Level Nerds. You can email us, OmegaLevelNerds@gmail.com. On YouTube, Podbean, all that good stuff. Let us know which of the upcoming Star Wars movies or any of the Star Wars Celebration announcements that you're excited to in the comments. Did you enjoy this week's episode of The Mandalorian? How did you feel that Lizzo and Jack Black and how did you like their performance? Did it take away from you as it did with others? Let us know down in the comments, guys. All right, well, until next time, thank you very much, and we'll see you next on the Omega Level Nerds.